From the crash of a gong to the attack of an organ note to the bite of a plucked string, music is mostly transients, as the oscillograms on our record jacket indicate. A good cartridge must be able to handle complex transients without distortion if you're to hear all the music recorded on your records. Because transients produce the characteristic attack and decay that help our ears differentiate one instrument from another. And as any engineer will tell you, transient information in record grooves generates the signals your ears translate into the location of instruments in space, the very basis of the stereo effect. In order for a cartridge to have good transient ability, it must be able to handle very abrupt musical changes, meaning that the phonostylus must be accurately controlled or damped. Too little damping, and the stylus interacts with the record groove, producing undesirable resonances leading to distortion. Remember when I said that too much compliance was fine for tracking, but created problems with transient ability? Too much damping, though, is just as bad, creating problems in tracking ability, distortion, or record and stylus wear. If you're getting the idea that designing a good cartridge is like walking a tightrope, you're right. Achieving optimum tracking ability and transient ability at the same time is difficult indeed. But it's possible, as our new 2002E eletreto cartridge demonstrates, on demanding selections like the ones you'll be hearing. Now let's see how your cartridge measures up. One point before we start, though. If we were conducting these tests in a laboratory, we'd be using two tone arms and cartridges on the same record, so you could compare or A-B your cartridge with a reference standard. Unfortunately, since most home listeners don't have such a setup, we'll be relying on your own critical listening. So pick a quiet time with minimum distractions, so your musical memory and concentration will be at their best. Okay, here we go. First, let's test your cartridge for tracking ability. By modern standards, a good cartridge should be able to track the loudest passages at forces of 1.5 grams or less, with less force required for passages of lower intensity. Using a stylus force gauge, or the one on your tone arm, and the tracking ability chart on the rear of the album, rate your cartridge's ability to reproduce the percussion sounds on the next 3 bands without distortion. Each band, level 1 through level 3, has a maximum acceptable force. A cartridge that reproduces all levels without exceeding the maximum acceptable force for each meets the basic requirements for acceptable record and stylus wear. Listen for clean, distinct sounds. The opening gong, bell, cymbal, and all other instruments should be heard clearly and distinctly from the first attack to the fade-out of the siren. If any band sounds garbled, your cartridge is mistracking. Okay, let's begin. Level 1. Acceptable range 0.6 to 0.9 of a gram. Level 2. Acceptable range 1 to 1 2/10 grams. Level 3. Acceptable range 1 3/10 to 1 1/2 grams.